What's up guys, and welcome to another video on squad building challenges. Today we will not open any packs though, but today we will look at the leagues that are currently available in the squad building challenges and speculate about the leagues that EA is going to add next. Now to recap, when we started FIFA this year, we were given the Major League Soccer as well as the Liga NOS to do the squad building challenge for. A few weeks afterwards, we got the Belgian as well as the French league. And a couple of days ago, we got the Mexican as well as the Turkish league. So obviously what you want to know is which leagues are added next, so you can invest accordingly, and as soon as the leagues are released, either go for the special card or sell your cards and make a nice profit. So we will look at this from two sides. First, we will look at it from a league perspective, and second of all, we will look at it from a player perspective, as you will obviously get a player as a reward as well for completing the league. Now let's start with the league one. What you see right here is Foothead's Ultimate Team League overview. You obviously have the big four at the top, and then we can look at the leagues that are currently available for squad building challenges. So initially, you see at the bottom we got the Major League Soccer, and kind of at the top the Liga NOS. In the second round, we saw the Ligue 1, so we move one up from the Portuguese league, the French league, and next to the Major League Soccer, we went one down to the Belgian league. So you kind of see there's one group at the top and one group at the bottom so far. Then on Thursday, we were given the Mexican league as well as the Turkish league. So this fits again with the pattern they had before. The top group, the Liga NOS and the Ligue 1 one, they moved down to the Super League, so still kind of the same area, kind of the second tier behind the big four. And at the bottom, we went from Major League Soccer to Belgian Pro League, and then a few spots up to the Mexican Liga Bancomer. Now this is kind of one assumption that I will note for now. There's one top league of leagues and one kind of bottom group. Not as attractive in terms of gold and silver cards, let's say. Next, there's obviously, a couple of days ago, there was the rumor that the Italian league would be part of this release that happened 2 days ago, which it was obviously not, but there was a rumor out there. I think the top four leagues, they will not be available anytime soon as a squad building challenge. The next set is likely to be dropped early or mid-January, and obviously, as you all know, then we have the Team of the Year hype as well. So I do not think EA has to give us another incentive to invest in packs, as there will already be enough incentives to invest in packs, to open packs, and the market is already flourishing at that point anyway. So the Calcio A as well as the Bundesliga, I do think they will drop eventually, and I do also think the Premier League and the La Liga will drop eventually, but I do think those big leagues, they will likely drop in, say, July, August, when the Team of the Season hype is over. And FIFA, in previous years at least, it had the problem that it kind of died a slow death because nobody was playing anymore. People were waiting for the next FIFA. So with dropping those top leagues late, FIFA or EA could keep the interest high and still incentivize people to play FIFA and invest in packs. So for now, I do not think they will come out anytime soon. Another aspect that we should keep in mind is the geographical location of the leagues we have seen so far. So the first set, we saw one American league, the Major League Soccer, as well as one European league, the Liga NOS. The second set of leagues, we saw two European leagues. We got the French and the Belgian one. And in the previous round, we got another American league, the Mexican one, and another European again, the Super League. Now, I do not think that this pattern, one American, one European, two Europeans, and then back and forth, will hold forever. But I do not think that the next set of leagues will contain another American team. It will likely be two European leagues again, or just to speak to that market as well, one of the Asian leagues. Just my personal opinion, but we will go through the list in a second. And then also, I do not think that lower leagues will come out anytime soon. If they drop, they will probably be paired with one of the top leagues. But let's go through the list in one by one. So as I've already said, the Premier League at the top, Liga Santander, Calcio A as well as Bundesliga, I do not see them coming out anytime soon. Ligue 1, Liga NOS, we already have them. Russian League, I do think they are a favorite for the next round. I already invested in the players before the last round. Unfortunately, it did not happen. The Russian League did not become the new squad building challenge league, but I already have the players in my club now, and I do still think they kind of match this top group set of leagues that we talked about earlier. So I do think they might drop in January. The Argentinian league, Primera División, as I said before, I do not think that they will release another American league in the next round. They just released the Mexican one. They have the US one before, so I do think they will drop eventually, but not next round. The championship, as I said before, I don't think the second leagues of all the countries, basically, the Bundesliga, the Calcio A, as well as all the other leagues, they probably don't come out any at all, but if they come out, I do think they will pair them with a strong counterpart. So for instance, if the championship drops, they might pair it with La Liga or Premier League, just to have the average strength of the two leagues is still kind of the same. Mexico is out. Then the Eredivisie, I do think, next to the Russian league, they are the second favorite for the next round in January. There's the average player is okay. There's lots of gold and silver players, particularly in the top 3 clubs. In general, a pretty good league to watch out for. And then the Major League Soccer, as well as the Belgian league, we already have them. If we then move to the lower part of the table, there are a lot of leagues that just by definition cannot be released as a squad building challenge. I think like Greece, Ukraine, there's just not enough teams. The second Spanish league, again, I do not think the second leagues will come out anytime soon. Switzerland, though, might happen. The problem that Switzerland has is that there's only one strong team. Basel is what I'm talking about, and the other teams are pretty weak. You see that when you look at the gold, silver, and bronze numbers here. They might also come out with one of the stronger leagues, just to have the average intact. Bundesliga 2, again, second leagues, I do not see them coming. And then for Chile as well as Colombia, I do think, similar to the Argentinian league, they will not come out with an American league anytime soon. The last one on this table, Saudi Arabia, Scotland, and Korea Republic, they are probably coming out at some point, particularly the Korean one, just to attract that Asian market. It's either the Korean or the Japanese league. I do think they will come out, and they will come out at some point in the near future, January or the February release. Saudi Arabia, I do not think the average strength is good enough. Scotland, I do think that we have so many English leagues that they can release, and that you see in this table are ranked higher than this Scottish one. I do not think they will likely be a released league in the future. If we move to the second page of that table, we see a couple of other leagues that are an option, obviously. South Africa, there's not enough leagues. French second league, again, it's the second league, so I do not think they're likely. Then there are all the Nordic teams, Denmark, Sweden, as well as Norway. I don't think they will be in the January window. Again, you see the gold numbers. There's basically 4 gold cards in Denmark, 2 in Sweden, as well as 1 in Norway. I don't think the leagues are as attractive as they should be to be a squad building challenge league. If they drop, they will likely drop with one of the strong leagues as a counterpart. Second league of Italy, not gonna happen, I think. Same as Poland, we just had the Polish derby and the squad building challenge. A lot of bronze cards in the market. However, if you look at the Austrian league, I do think the Austrian league, even though it has a low amount of goal players, and 2 of them just are strikers in the same club, the 2 Red Bull strikers, I do think that is somewhat of a possibility here. I do think the Austrian league is comparable to the Swiss league, even though the cards are probably weaker, but I do think they are, obviously Red Bull Salzburg is a decent team in Europe. They also have a couple of Vienna teams that are currently playing in the Europa League. I do think that is a possibility. The Japanese league kind of, and the Australian league as well, they kind of go together with the Korean one. Probably will be released at some point, but likely with a stronger counterpart. So now we've looked at the league perspective. There are a couple of leagues that seem likely. The Russian league, the Eredivisie from the Netherlands, as well as the Swiss and the Austrian league. And then with kind of dark horse chances, the Asian ones. If we now move to the player's perspective, we can draw some other conclusions. So first we look up at the players that will likely be the rewards. To recap first, the rewards that you get, or that you've gotten so far for the 6 squad building challenges, and I do think that theme will continue in the future, was last season's top scorer. So for instance, assuming that he's still in the league. So Jonas, for instance, was the top scorer in Portugal, Jovinko in the US, and so on. There's one asterisk, as I've already said, they still have to be part of the league. So we got Lacazette, even though Ibrahimovic was the top scorer, but he's not part of the league anymore, obviously. Same in Turkey, but we got Semi Eto'o, even though Mario Gomez was the top scorer. So that asterisk has to be kept in mind. And here on that screen, you see the last year's top scorer for the individual leagues that we just talked about, which can also give you some kind of idea what leagues EA will likely release in January. Obviously, the first Italian and German league, they have massive top scorers in terms of rating. They have Higuain as well as Lewandowski. I don't think in mid-January, when Team of the Year is kind of around, they have an incentive to drop another special card, and one of those special cards would be required to keep the interest high. If you go to Russia, though, I think Smolov he's probably not that international star yet, but I do think his card in terms of rating would kind of fit in that Jonas level. Obviously not as strong as Jonas, but I do think it fits in there, kind of between the Jonas and the Belgian one. So I do think that would be a good, or not a good, but a decent reward. The Argentinian league, I already said, they probably won't come because the Mexican league was just released, and also if you look at the card, it's a silver striker. I do not think that would be attractive at all and would not incentivize players to spend coins on packs. Eredivisie, however, as I said before, Luc de Jong is a good card. The previous year's top scorer is not playing there anymore. He's playing for Tottenham right now, but Luc de Jong would be the next in line to be released as a special card, and I do think his card would be a good reward. You can pair him up nicely with other cards. You can have Robben on the right and, let's say, Depay on the left. I do think he's a decent enough striker. The team is pretty good, Eindhoven, so I do think that would be a good reward card as well. If you go to the right column, Swiss league, as I said before, the league might be okay, but I do not think the really special card would be a good reward. It's a rare silver, but I do not think people would be incentivized to invest in that card. Same goes for the two South American leagues. As I've already said, the leagues in itself are not likely because of Mexico, and also the two players, one rare silver, one non-rare silver, they would not be attractive at all, basically. So I do not see them being released in January. Saudi Arabia has a good reward though, even though the league in itself is probably not that likely to be dropped, but I do think the player as a reward would be okay. He kind of fits rating-wise, obviously, to the Russian and the Dutch category, but as I said before, I think the league in itself is not that strong to be released as an individual squad building challenge league. And the Scotland, obviously the striker is not too bad. It's a gold card, kind of in the same level as the Belgian league currently, or two releases ago, but I do not see them as a favorite. If we move to the lower set of leagues that we just talked about, you see most of the reward cards will be silver. I do think, though, as I said before, the K-League or the Japanese League, eventually they will come, but they will be paired with one of the strong leagues to have a good average strength in terms of cards, reward cards. As I said before, I do think Austria is a dark horse here. Soriano has special cards every year. He already has an inform this year. He's only one of 3 gold cards in the league, but I do think Austria is a dark horse for January. And all the ones on the right, I do not see them to be released anytime soon. Most of them silver. Even for the Irish League, there's a bronze card. I do not see people would be willing to invest loads of money in those leagues. So if we want to sum it up, what do I think will likely happen in January? I do think the 2 leagues will be made up of those 3 that you see on the screen right here. It will either be the Eredivisie, which I think is the top favorite. I do think the Russian Premier League is also a good bet to invest in right now. And I think the dark horse would be the Austrian Bundesliga with Soriano as the special reward card. What does that mean? A lot of players already invested in those leagues a couple of days ago before the last set was released. So right now is actually the perfect time for you guys to invest in those leagues if you think they're likely. People who have invested and saw that Mexico as well as Turkey was released as a set, they probably wanted to get rid of their players already to free up their capital again. Why would you hold like 100 to 200 players in your club that you don't need? and you might need the coins in turn. So those players are super easy to get now. There's loads on the market, and they're also cheap. Austria has the additional benefit that there's only, I think, 10 or 12 clubs in the league, and most of the players are bronze or silver. So the investment in Austria probably around 10 to 15k, depending on how many players you already have in your team. There will be loads of bronze players in your team if you do the bronze pack method. Russia and the Eredivisie will be somewhat more expensive. In Russia, you have obviously you have St. Petersburg as well as the Moscow clubs. They have a bunch of goal players, and in the Eredivisie, you obviously have Amsterdam, Eindhoven as well as Rotterdam. So I think the investment for both leagues is around, say, 15 to 25k per league, depending on when you buy. Right now, it should be rather on the low side, but if the sooner it comes, or the closer you get to January, the more expensive it will become, because other players will pick up on this investment rumors as well and start investing, so the prices will be driven up. So if you do want to invest, guys, I want to advise you to invest right now. Obviously, you're free to pick the league, but I do think that the Eredivisie, the Russian Premier League, as well as the Austrian Bundesliga as a dark horse, are the favorites for this January window. And now, guys, it's up to you. Let me know in the comments down below what you think will be the next squad building challenge leagues EA is going to release in January. How are you going to prepare for it? Are you going to invest to get the special cards? Do you think these cards are attractive enough, or are you just investing now to sell the players for profit later? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.